Hello, everyone. I am Cartoon Kitsune, and welcome back to another Toonkind at 12 FPS. Today, I will be playing Angelique, your local fiendish shoulder angel, as well as the mirror system. Which members of it, you may ask? Well, you'll have to listen and find out. But with me today is my lovely co-host, co-conspirator, whatever you want to call it.
Hello, I am Oatmeal, and I'll be playing the professor.
Yeah. So, just as a brief little recap, after the events of Shattered Reflections, Aurelia and the rest of the Mirror System, of course, as well as Angelique, have been staying at the Villestown Hospital. They've been is undergoing treatment for their dissociative identity disorder. Mostly, it's been consisting of a lot of therapy sessions. They do have like a designated therapist who I've named Dr. Agler. One of these days I'll probably like get like a ref for him, but I decided that he's UPAN and I kind of imagine him as like a very blocky sort of UPAN, so like it's kind of like a broad-shouldered sort of fella,
Mm,
so like a sort kind of like a big block like body and then like a
okay.
smaller block head and probably like a beard of some kind.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a whole bunch of like kind of colored blocks.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, things have been going well with that. He says she's been making good progress and all that. They have been trying out a few different medications for her, mostly for like depression and anxiety ones, the anxiety
Mm-hmm.
ones especially.
Yeah.
Um, so of course there's as is the case with medications, there's been a bit of trial and error with that, but
Mm-hmm.
currently it's been enough time that like they're reaching the point where like they've got the dosages like mostly figured out. So she's been adjusting to that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And of course, while she's been having to stay in the hospital, fortunately, she's had a few folks come to visit her. One of which being the professor, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yep. Yeah.
and
He comes in and they talk and he teaches them about stuff because the mirror system's new to Inkwell and Angelique is new to everything basically.
pretty much. Yeah, and Angelique definitely bombards you with questions like every time you come over.
Mm-hmm.
So she is very much excited to learn about pretty much everything. I did mention in a previous FPS that like she was very interested in learning about stars and like what they are and how that works, which
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing Prof was very excited to teach her about.
Oh, for sure.
Hmm. Yeah. I believe he's also been like kind of loaning them like books, so they have something to pass the time with when he's not able to come over.
Yeah.
Eeh. Yeah, and it's probably not just Aurelia that you've run into. Occasionally Lyra will be there, and sometimes Colette as well. Colette's probably not as receptive to Prof's various lessons.
Yeah,
She tends to get like a little bit bored and whiny about that.
maybe so. If she's fronting, he might change tack and do something else, like teach her a game or something, or I don't know, a silly song or whatever.
Oh, absolutely. No, I think like she definitely enjoyed that.
Hmm.
Aurelia as well. Or those little
Nice.
songs, especially since the kind of the added effect of like having something silly to sing like when they're having a panic attack or something seem to help calm them down. So
Hmm.
learning a few more of those would be nice, and also they're just fun.
Yeah. Hmm.
Eh,
But yeah,
yeah,
this is one of the days that he's visiting.
that's true. I am kind of curious. Would Prof have like asked anything about like Aurelia's aunt, because Aurelia has made mention that like she has an aunt somewhere. Um, that's like supposedly her current guardian.
Hmm.
Um, would he like question more about that, like where she currently is and all that?
Um, I think maybe something like really basic. Like I don't think he would have gone into it a whole lot, but like um you know like I guess like where is she? Did you like living there before?
Yeah, and I think she would answer. Actually, Lyra might need help answer some of these questions because Aurelia's memory is still a bit spotty.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, uh, Basically, from what she remembers, was when she was admitted to the hospital in Firruma. They were there for about a year, and after that, uh, well, at that point, unfortunately, her father had passed away, and
Mm.
guardianship had been given over to her aunt sometime in the interim of that.
Mm.
And then that's around the time that she was brought over to Inkwell for better treatment.
Mm-hmm.
And notably, she does mention this, and you can also confirm this, like with like some of the doctors, if Prof were to ask them, that ever since like her aunt came by when dropping her off when she was first admitted, but she hasn't really like come to visit at all since then.
Mm-hmm.
They have been in contact with her since, of course, there's plenty of ways to do that between like the teleportation circles. Delivering mail is pretty
Mm-hmm.
quick, and there's even like sending spells if it's something urgent.
Yeah.
So they've been keeping in contact with her with that, mostly for like, medical decisions, like when they need to put her on certain medications, that sort
Mm-hmm.
of thing, getting it approved,
Yeah, because she is still a minor.
of course. Yeah. Out of curiosity, what does Prof think about that whole situation?
Um, I mean, based on like what he saw during Shadow Reflections, like
Hmm.
uh uh he doesn't he's not he doesn't think that she would do so well going back to Firruma, especially if it's a return to that sort of oppressive high society life. Um,
Hmm.
and she didn't seem especially, or like Lyra at least didn't seem like especially keen on her aunt. Like, not bad, but like didn't really have much nice to say except that she was caring for her, you know?
Yeah, that's about the gist of it, and she certainly didn't seem terribly thrilled about going back to Furuma, but it's the only family they have left, so they didn't really see much of a choice there.
Right. So Professor's sort of like he's not sure what uh uh could be done, but like he is kind of thinking to himself like if there's a way for her to stay here longer that might be better for her.
Hmm.
But hasn't really done anything with that information yet.
Fair enough. Do you think you might be like scheming to maybe like what if and when her aunt eventually comes to like maybe talk to her about that?
Um, hmm.
Hmm.
Uh, I'm not sure. I think, well, I think he would want to know, like if she showed up, like, at least to, um, sort of the pretense of like, obviously want to see, um, Aurelia before she leaves, but like
Of
he
course, yeah.
would probably at that point, uh, try to intervene and recommend something. Um,
Hmm.
he's not sure what yet, but like he doesn't have any like solid schemes, but he has just kind of the thought of like I don't think she should go back there.
Hmm.
And if there's something he can do about it, he's going to.
Right. And I'd say that's where we currently stand as we jump to the present day, where Prof is once again coming to visit her. Um, and I believe we talked about this that the current book he's because he's been like bringing her books back and forth, and currently he's bringing her one on flowers, different kinds
Mm-hmm.
of flowers, like in different parts of the world, with plenty of pictures and stuff.
Yeah,
Eh,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Out of curiosity, how's Prof doing today? Would you say?
Um, uh, well, he does have a lot of other stuff going on. Let's see then. Let me roll for that. Oh, pretty good. All right.
Hey, nice.
Uh, that's a 17 out of 20. So, yeah,
Hey,
pretty, uh, pretty upbeat today, I would say.
good to hear. So, you head up the usual route to where Aurelia's room is. You definitely know the way by now. Um, as you get there, though, you're stopped by one of the nurses, and I'm gonna kind of breeze through this because I don't really have a character in mind for this random nurse.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, you are told that Aurelia had a bit of an emotional episode earlier. Fortunately, this one, it sounds like it wasn't one of the more violent ones, just more emotional than anything. She's not
Mm-hmm.
really getting into like too many of the details.
Mm-hmm.
She's kind of warning you about that. And basically, like she seems to have like mostly calmed down as far as I can tell. So currently, they're giving her a bit of space. They did try to phone Dr. Agler, but unfortunately, he's not at the hospital today.
Mm-hmm.
So they've been trying to get in contact with him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. He would um, acknowledge that and but ask to uh, be allowed to visit anyway.
Of course. And I think like, once they kind of like give you that sort of I don't know if warning's the right word, but like kind of prep you for like, what state she's currently in,
Yeah.
they'll definitely let you in. Because if as long as you feel comfortable like seeing her in that state.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So, you enter the room and let's start out with having Prof roll perception.
Sure. What is this? This is a 13? 13. Yes.
13. Okay. I'm gonna up in the yeah. Okay, that's all right. Um, So with that, I'm gonna say so. Yes, the room. It's not in like terrible disarray, fortunately, though. There's a little bit of signs of mess. Let's see. So you find Aurelia quickly enough, or whoever is currently fronting. We'll get to that in a moment.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you see her kind of sitting on top of her bed, cross-legged, and you can see she's fiddling in her hands with one of the stress toys that I don't know if Prof would have gotten them for her, or like if Izumi might have. I feel like one member, like someone in the group, probably would have gotten them for her at some point.
Yeah. Yeah. If not
Yeah,
Azumi, then Prof. Either or.
yeah. I figure one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but yeah, it's probably one of like the squishy stress toys where like you can just like squeeze it in your hand over and over, or maybe
Mm-hmm.
kind of stretch it a little bit. One of those ones.
Mm-hmm.
And as you get a little closer, you can definitely you can see that she's kind of got those dark circles under her eyes and a very sort of sullen, like kind of almost empty look on her face. And you definitely know by now that this is a usually a pretty good sign that Evelyn's probably the one fronting at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Which typically not the best sign, considering.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, again, she's pretty calm, so to speak, at the moment. She's just kind of like staring off and just like sort of staring down at the bed, like playing with the stress toy. Notably, though, you don't see any sign of Angelique in here. I think with that
Mm-hmm.
perception roll, you wouldn't really see where she might currently be if she's in the room.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. He just closes the door behind him and calls out softly, "Hello."
She gives you kind of like a like small little hum in response, but doesn't really move much other than that.
Mm-hmm. He's gonna go further in and probably just lean against the end of the cot.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I heard you're having a difficult day.
She kind of curls in on herself a little bit, but again doesn't seem to answer.
Hmm. I think he's just going to, like, sit on the end of the cot um, and bring the book out and just put it down
Mm-hmm.
on the bed. But he just kind of looks thoughtful. Um, would you
Um,
would you want to talk about it, perhaps?
She still doesn't say anything, but she does when you bring the book out, she does kind of squeeze the stress toy a little more tightly. I'm gonna say roll insight on this.
Mm. Okay, that is a 16.
Okay, that should be enough. Yeah. So you'll remember that it was mentioned once or twice that Evelyn had a bit of a bad habit of tearing up books when she was stressed out. That was kind of her. I guess she didn't have something, a healthier way to
Mm.
get her stress out, like with a stress toy.
Right.
So you get the sense that like she's kind of squeezing the stress toy a little harder because she's kind of like holding herself back from touching the book because she's afraid like if she touches it, she's gonna lose control and start tearing it up too.
Yeah, old habits.
Hmm.
Yeah. He's just kind of, uh, he sees that and then he just sort of like nods, like, ah. And he's going to take the book and probably lean over and put it on a table that's a little further away, just so it's less of a
Hmm.
temptation.
Yeah, and she seems to relax a little bit at that.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Is
I
Angelique
think
around?
She does react to that. She kind of like glances over to the side, like the opposite side of the bed from where you came in. And I think now you can roll another perception with that.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, that is much better. That's a 22.
Very good. All right. So, Prof, you kind of follow where her eyes sort of lead you, and you peer over that side of the bed. You see there are a few little scraps of paper lying on the ground. Some of them appear to have writing on it, but they're all torn up, so you can't really tell
Hmm.
most of what's written on there. And there's also a wastebasket next to it. And there's a sort of shuffling noise and a bit of clanging coming from inside the wastebasket. And as you're watching, you see another piece of paper kind of fly up out of the wastebasket and like fall out onto the ground like someone just tossed it out of there.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Ah, I see. Would you like some help with that, dear?
I think there's like a thunk noise from inside the wastebasket, fol- followed by Angelique popping her little head up out of there, kind of like rubbing at her forehead. uh, oh, oh, Professor! Oh, finally, someone else is here. Come down here, and help me with this. And she kind of gestures you to like lean down to the waste paper basket.
Mm. Yeah, he'll go over to pick up the different pieces of paper and the waste bin. Um, so I suppose we're taking these out of the bin and putting them back together.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing because I've got no idea what's going on with her. And she
Ah,
kind of like groans, like, yeah. Of all the times for me to be taking a nap, I woke up and she was just like uh, everything was going crazy, and I've been trying to talk to her, but she won't say anything, and Lyra won't pay any attention to me. If she's just it's so I figure maybe if I can figure out what is up with this paper in here and read it, maybe I can figure
mm-hmm.
out what's going on with her.
Uh-huh. Professor just sort of like looks up at uh, Evelyn, like to see if there's any reaction.
Not much of a reaction. I mean, she might be listening, but she's not really making an indication of that. She's still kind of like squeezing the stress toy.
Yeah.
Interesting though that she mentioned like trying to talk to Lyra when it seems that Evelyn's the one currently fronting.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he notes that, but he's not quite sure what to make of it yet. Um,
Hmm.
all right. Well, yeah, I guess he's gonna just go like yeah, fish out the pieces of uh matching paper from the waste bin and you probably don't have any scotch tape. He has
Um,
duct tape, but I don't know. He might be able to use mending to do
I'm
the
gonna say yeah,
individual
you can just
pieces. It would just
use
take a
mending
while.
probably.
At
Yeah,
any rate, he can
it's not like
arrange them.
teeny tiny little pieces, but like they're big enough that like it won't take you forever to mend them back together.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm gonna say roll investigation to like see if you can get all the pieces, and
Mm.
then I'm gonna say maybe roll an intelligence to like see if you can get like piecing back together.
Mm.
And I'm gonna have I'll have Angelique just do a help action on this one for simplicity's sake.
Okay. Investigation. Um, that's a 26. And then
Okay,
I'll
yeah, you find all the pieces easily enough.
yeah, and then I'll do
There's not
that.
too much trash in the wastebasket.
Oh man. Okay. This roll was a lot worse, even with the help action advantage. Um, intelligence. That's just a 3.
Oh no. Okay. Actually, I have a funny way to flavor this. You're putting pieces together. I think once she finds the last one, Angelique hops out of the wastebasket. Unfortunately, her wings kind of like unintentionally blow a little gust of air and
Mm.
send all the pieces flying across the floor.
Oh man.
uh, and she's just like, oh, whoops, sorry.
That's all right. He'll grab them and try again.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that it just takes you a little longer because you're like chasing down all the flying away pieces, and but eventually you do get it put together.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna send you this. And so yeah, you take a look at the letter, and it does appear to be a letter from someone. Quick glance over it says it appears to be from addressed to Aurelia,
Mm-hmm.
and think, I think I can read through this if you want for the recording.
Sure.
Yeah. So once you've pieced it all together, the letter reads thusly. My dearest Aurelia, as the day of your 18th birthday draws near, I have found myself having to make a rather difficult decision. Rest assured that this is not through any fault of your own, nor due to your condition, that I am choosing to do this. It is with a heavy heart that I must ask you to not come and live with us after you have been discharged from the hospital. I promise you that I do not do this out of malice or lack of care. I have always held a great deal of affection for you and your brother, may he rest in peace, but I cannot continue to risk the safety of myself and my family any longer. Your mother's cursed blood still runs through you, and I have already lost my brother to her because she bewitched him all those years ago. I fear that if I allow you into my household, I may end up encountering a similar fate. That woman has brought nothing but ruin to our family since the day she waltzed into our lives, and not even her death has brought us any solace. I will continue to send you your allowance and ensure that your medical bills are paid for, and I am more than happy to assist you in making travel arrangements to return to Firruma once you are permitted to leave the hospital. I have also made the necessary arrangements to ensure that your inheritance will be fully transferred to you once you turn 18, including your father's fortune and ownership of his estate. I do not expect you to forgive me for this, nor do I deserve it. But just know that I am truly sorry for what I must do, and I wish you nothing but happiness throughout the rest of your life. Kindest regards, Eleanor Dreschel.
Yeah, Professor. Very quickly reading that, his expression turned dark and angry.
Mm-hmm.
He is just like going through it and going through it again. Uh, just like thoroughly pissed off. Like,
Mm-hmm.
honestly, I don't think that like they've seen him look this like put out except when interacting with the Prince of Gourds.
Definitely. I think there might be a brief moment. I'm not sure if Prof would like notice this because he's kind of staring at the letter. There's probably like a brief moment where Evelyn flinches a little bit, but more out of like instinct than anything. It only lasts for like a second though.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, yeah, I think Angelique's having a very similar reaction. Probably not as like kind of like probably a bit more like openly angry. Like she's definitely kind of like her wings are kind of like puffing up angrily.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Professor mutters some choice words in Celestial.
Hmm?
Okay, I see. He puts the letter down and just like rubs his hands over his face, and then looks to Evelyn, and his expression is a lot more calm now. Okay, I see. Well, that's a horrible thing to receive in the mail.
Uh, no wonder you tore it up. I'd have done the same. I want to tear up her stupid face for doing that to you. How could she?
Hmm.
I think Angelique just kind of takes a moment, like she's just kind of like angrily flapping around the room for a little bit, just like kind of ranting away at how horrible this is and how much she hates Aurelia's aunt now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm. Okay. This. Okay. I expect that this tugged on your insecurities.
Mhm. She kind of curls in on herself a little bit and just kind of quietly mumbles, "It didn't come as that much of a surprise, but it still hurt."
Of course. She's. What she's doing is not rational or kind, despite the flowery words she's put around it.
Hmm. And I think at this point you hear Angelique kind of shouting, oddly enough, kind of out of nowhere. We know, Lyra. We know you're not helping. Yeah.
What?
Uh, sh- I think Angelique doesn't notice you, but Evelyn kind of quietly mumbles. She she can hear she can hear Lyra. She's with me right now. It's, I suppose, part of our magic. She can hear us in here too.
Ah. Ah.
She kind of like taps the side of her forehead.
I see. I see. A telepathic connection. I understand. Well, that's useful.
Mm-hmm.
But,
Yeah, the
do try to calm down in there.
she's trying to comfort us, but it's and I think at this point Angelique like kind of like floats down, still a bit huffy, and saying, "I was doing your usual thing, saying like, oh, it's fine. We didn't want to go there anyway. We shouldn't be so upset about it."
uh,
Uh,
okay, no. You are allowed to be upset. I'm upset. This is. This is. You can't justify this. This is uncalled for. This is horrible and borderline. Oh, well, no, I don't know what the laws are and where you used to live, but in other places it would be borderline illegal trying to abandon you before you turned 18.
mm, yeah, and I don't think you need to roll for this, but I think Prof's probably smart enough to put together that it's definitely very timely of her to be sending this letter when Aurelia's 18th birthday is this close. So
Oh, absolutely. This
this was
is
absolutely calculated move.
for
Mhm.
sure. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm. I think Evelyn will mumble again. As I said, well, I don't think all of us wanted to accept it, but deep down, I think we all knew this was coming, or at least Lyra and I certainly did. Mm.
Well,
Mm.
you knew the most about sort of the family relationship side of things.
Mm-hmm.
This is extremely frustrating.
Mm. Well, on the one hand, something makes a bit more sense. Perhaps this is why she sent us here in the first place. Mm.
Easier to do it from a distance.
Mm.
Coward.
I wish she were here so I could punch in her stupid face. Grr.
Yeah, no, she wouldn't dare visit now. She knows what she's doing is wrong. On some level, as much as she's justifying it to herself. It's not as if you can be blamed for strife that your mother caused.
Mm.
And even that, we know that story is a bit more complicated than perhaps it seems on the surface. Not that your aunt knows that, but
Mm.
still, could have a little bit of compassion.
Mm. Well, it's to be expected. This isn't the first time we've lost family, and well, at least this one didn't have to die in this case. Not sure if that's better or worse, but nothing we're not used to.
Yes. No, I understand. It's regardless of the method, it does tend to hurt. And
Mm.
this, practically barbed uh, note.
Mm. Let's see. I think Angelique might kind of chime in, like, Lyra, shut up! Don't make excuses for her. She's not. Yeah, okay. Well, I don't care if she's scared. It's still horrible.
Lyra, Angelique's right. She. Her feelings, your aunt's feelings, don't justify her actions. You're. You're not a demon, you're a child. She's treating you like some rabid pet, just sending you to a farm upstate.
Let me check something. Um, gonna roll this. Okay, yeah, that's actually pretty good. Let's see. 13. Yeah, I think Evelyn, like, she sniffles a little bit, but she doesn't start crying immediately.
Mm-hmm. And she's she's not she's not correct in that. As poorly as she and other people over there perceive you, that's not reflective of reality. You're
Yeah, you guys didn't do anything wrong. She's just like Prof said, she's just a coward and she's horrible and she's just you guys don't deserve this.
no. She's scared of what she doesn't understand and thinks it better to just flee from a difficult situation rather than try to deal with it, even though the life and well being of her niece is on the line. Oh, stars. You're not like how she thinks she is. You are. We've been over this, but you're you're not dangerous or broken or evil or anything like that. You're kind and troubled and traumatized and reacting like a reasonable person would who's been hurt the way you have and manipulated.
Right. And I think when you say that, you see her shoulders start to shake a little bit, and another little sort of like sniffle and a hiccup kind of escape her throat,
Mm-hmm.
and she kind of curls in on herself a bit more, and like sits with her head up against her knees,
Mm-hmm.
and I think you hear her like very very quietly mutter, I'm scared."
Mm-hmm. That doesn't surprise me. Your next of kin has just abandoned you.
That's not what I know she's kind of like muttering to either herself or Lyra. It's a bit unclear, but
Mm-hmm.
she's kind of muttering, I know, but I
Mm-hmm.
I'm and she says like in a very just barely audible hoarse little whisper, I'm scared this won't last either, that you'll one day you'll
Oh,
I'm sorry. I shouldn't.
no, well, after what you've been through, I think that's an understandable fear. Um, but he's going to, uh, I think, probably like scoot closer and sideways on the cot to put his arm over her shoulder gently because he knows she's kind of sensitive.
Yeah, I think like for a brief moment she does kind of instinctively tense up, but it doesn't last long and she just kind of like melts into your arm and eventually just kind of like curls up into your chest and you can feel her like shuddering with little sobs and she cries so very quietly, almost like she's terrified of someone hearing her crying.
Yeah, that doesn't
Yeah.
really surprise him either.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he'll
And
give her kind of a protective, soft hug.
yeah. And again like in such a quiet little whisper like amongst the sobbing you can hear her saying all of them, every single one of them, one by one, either by our hand or by his hand. They all left Europe. I want to believe this is different, that it won't turn out the same way, but
But it's difficult. I understand. Well, I don't intend to leave you high and dry like they have. I intend to continue being here for you and being your friend. I have no reason to reject you. Some of them have. And I think I know you a lot better than they do.
I think Angelique, who's been kind of quietly watching this from the side, not quite sure what to do because,
Mm-hmm.
well, she knows so little about the world and even less about comforting someone like this.
Mm-hmm.
She can't even really hug her with like how tiny her little arms are.
Mm-hmm.
She says, yeah, and that goes for me too. And if you can't believe my words, then well, you can believe the bond we made. Our contract. I meant what I said that I'd stay with you, and it's not just for Ari, it's for all of you, because you're all her, and I I meant what I said when I became your patron. I'm not gonna leave you either, all right? And maybe Professor and our the others they don't have that contract, but like we do, we can't don't have some magic that says that we have to stay together, but
Mm.
well,
Friendship is
I
a
can
different sort of bond.
yeah, and I mean, I've never met your aunt or your family, but just from what I saw from the mirrors, like just watching you through the mirrors and that stupid letter, I can tell like they're different. They're not like that. They actually care about you guys.
Professor smiles at Angelique.
And I think Anjali kind of like tentatively like walks over to where Evelyn is curled up against Prof, and she kind of like reaches out with her little hand and like touches her side and kind of like rests her forehead against her. And as she does that, something kind of interesting happens. Her body is engulfed in that sort of golden light, kind of similar to like when they made the contract.
Mm.
Um, and she transformed, though this time it's not quite as blinding, it's a lot softer, and you see her body begin to shift and change.
Mm.
And when the light finally dies down, she's no longer a little shoulder angel, she is now a cat, specifically a little tortie cat with
Ooh.
like kind of the black fur mottled with little spots
Aw,
of orange.
I love
And she's,
Tories.
I know, me too. And she just kind of like gently headbutting against her. You're not sure if Angelique realizes what just happened. She's just kind of yeah,
Just instinctively comforting.
yeah.
Well, now, that's interesting. Hello, dear. The professor will reach out and pat her head. Look at
I
that,
think she gives
Evelyn.
a surprise. I think Angelique gives a surprised little "Meow," and then finally takes a moment to look down at herself. Look at her little paw, is like amazed that she was able to do this.
Mm-hmm.
I think Evelyn is like equally amazed by this and kind of like hesitantly like reaches out a hand to like gently pet her back with.
Mm-hmm. Uh, that's a that's a that's a fine ability to have. I'm not quite sure what kind of creature you are, but
Hmm. I guess this must be more of your magic. You're certainly full of surprises, aren't you? And I think Angelique kind of like hops up onto Evelyn's lap and kind of like curls up next to her.
mm-hmm. Hmm.
I believe our doctor mentioned something about possibly opening something called a therapy animal at some point, but seems to me you already have one of those.
Perhaps. Well,
Hmm.
maybe then, uh, well, I mean, it would be a bit different, considering Angelique is a bit smarter than your usual, cat or dog, but, he could maybe still give her a few tips.
Anjali kind of has like a smug little cat grin on her face, like, yeah, she is smart.
Uh, hmm.
I think Evelyn kind of like rolls her eyes at her and kind of like puts a hand on top of her head and kind of smushes her head down a little bit.
uh,
Mm.
hmm. Well, would it. Hmm. Would it help to talk about where to go from here?
Mm. That's true. We do have to think about that now, and I guess we still have to tell Aurelia as well, and I suppose
Hmm.
Colette and Lilibet.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But that's not going to be easy, I'm sure.
No, I don't expect so.
Mhm.
Well, if you don't want to just at this moment, that's okay. Uh,
I know, but eventually we will have to. And she kind of hesitates for a moment, kind of like that sort of look when like somebody wants to ask something, but like they're too nervous to say it.
mm-hmm.
If it's, mm, if it wouldn't be too selfish of us to ask you. Mm. She kind of trails off.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. I think she's quiet for a few more moments, and then Anjali kind of like prods her with one of her paws. Uh, It would be a little easier to break the news to her if someone else were here.
Oh, sure.
Only if you want to, we won't. If it's not.
Certainly.
And you can see like the visible relief on her face and the way her shoulders sag, and she says, "Thank you, Professor."
Of course, dear. I can help with that. It's.
Mhm.
You're going through something very difficult right now. I'd like to help as much as I'm able.
I think she just kind of mumbles another thank you, and I think there's probably like a bit of time that kind of passes where like you guys are just kind of like sitting together, and she's just
Mm-hmm.
kind of petting Angelique and like helping calm her down,
Yeah.
and yeah, as eventually there is a shift. It takes quite a while. They haven't like in a situation like this, they definitely haven't mastered like shifting like at
Mm-hmm.
will. Usually, especially like when things are so emotional.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, so it takes a while, and but eventually though, she kind of I think Evelyn either kind of zones out a bit, or like she might even close her eyes for a little bit, and Prof might think she's like sleeping for a few moments.
Hmm.
Um, Eventually though, when she does open her eyes, she looks quite a bit less exhausted than she was before, and Aurelia lets out a very cute little yawn. Kind of looks around blearily, says, "Oh, oh, Professor, when did you get here? I
Hello, dear. I've been here for a bit. I was speaking with Evelyn.
Oh, I see. Is she doing And before she can finish that thought, she kind of like looks down at the cat that's sitting on her lap. Professor, when did you get a cat?
I did not. You got a cat. This is Angelique, shapeshifted.
Well, really? And she kind of pauses for a moment as if she's listening, presumably listening to Angelique say something over the telepathic link.
Mm-hmm.
And I think her face just like lights up a little like, You can turn into a cat? Wow, that's amazing! And I think she's gonna like just like pick up Angelique and give her a little hug. I think Angelique lets out a little like as she's squeezed.
uh,
Oh. Oh, right, Evelyn, I almost forgot. And
mm.
she'll set Angelique back down on the bed. Oh yeah, is she doing all right? Did something happen?
Something did happen. She's doing better, but you did have a bit of a hmm, uh, bit of a breakdown earlier, but it was understandable given the situation, which is, I should warn you, rather very upsetting.
Oh, I see. And I think Angelique kind of like headbutts her again, hurting quite a bit to kind of put her at ease. And I think at this point we can probably kind of like pan out a little bit. Like,
Mm-hmm.
if this were a visual medium, I'd say this would probably be where like the voices kind of go out and like we just sort of like see like a silent version of like Prof handing her the letter,
Mm-hmm.
and we see her reacting to it. And we definitely see like her hands are kind of shaking, like she's kind of in shock disbelief for a while,
Mm-hmm.
and eventually she kind of like crumples into Prof's side and is like clinging to him.
Yeah.
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 And that definitely goes on for a little while, just like she's kind of like just getting over the shock of what she's just read.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. He'll comfort her, much like he did,
Hmm.
Evelyn.
Hmm. Yeah. And in that same way, Angelique is also curled up next to her the whole time, just like purring like a motor, just doing what she can to help as best she can.
Yeah.
And yeah. And eventually, though, she does calm down for the most part. Of course, she's still a little bit sad about the whole thing, but having the both of you there, it's definitely a lot easier to cope than if she'd had to, find out about this all by her lonesome.
Mm-hmm.
And see, I think when we kind of like cut back in, she says, "Well, guess I'll have to figure out where to live now, huh?"
Yes. I. Hmm. Well, the letter sort of presumes that you would return to Firruma, um, but you don't have to do that.
Yeah, I think she kind of like makes a bit of a face when you mentioned going back to Firruma, and she responds, "Yeah, no, I mean, if I mean, living with her was kind of the only reason I was gonna go back, and well,
Mm-hmm.
to be honest, I don't think any of us really wanted to go back there if we didn't have to. So,
Mm-hmm.
mm,
And well, you do know that you're able to get uh, better medical care here than there, so going there wouldn't do you a lot of favors in that department either.
it is true. Yeah, if I did stay, I guess I could stay closer to Villstown, and then I could just keep coming here for my sessions with Dr. Eigler. That would be a lot easier in a lot of ways.
Certainly.
Yeah,
Let me
and
see.
she did mention something about inheritance.
Yes.
I happen to have to buy a little house or something.
Hmm.
And a prop, I think you would know that, like, considering her family were nobles, it's gonna be a lot more than just like enough to buy a little house.
Mm-hmm.
Especially since you mentioned something about an estate as well. So,
Oh yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Whether they like decide to like rent it out or full on like sell it, like you could get a lot of money out of real estate for
Oh,
sure.
absolutely.
So he's just like looking at the letter like, yeah, I'm sure you'll have enough to make yourself quite comfortable.
I guess I'll have to figure out how to sell an estate because Well, if nobody's living over there, then I don't really need the one back in Firruma. And
Mm-hmm.
uh, I hope we get a good bid for it. I mean, it was a pretty big place from what I can remember.
Mm-hmm.
And then she's quiet for a moment as she's like listening to someone and says, "Oh, Lyra says it was a really big place. It was about," and I don't know what the exact size would be, but like the way Lyra describes it, it's a mansion, like it's a straight up mansion, like
Yeah, and they probably have a few acres and stuff.
definitely, yeah. Like not just the mansion, but there's probably like a huge garden and like maybe some more land like out there. So either
Yeah.
way, it's pretty gigantic. And between that, whenever or like inheritance her very wealthy father left, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you get the sense that she's gonna be pretty set for life. So
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, he's just like nodding and grinning. Well, I know maybe a bit about that field, but I can also at least help you find probably somebody local who has a bit of a, or get you in contact with somebody over there who has probably a better idea than I do of the market, and they can help sort out the the legal matters and set it up, an agent to help you sell the house, etc.
yeah, Aurelia is just like kind of nodding along with this. You get the sense that like she barely understands what you're saying.
Yeah, yeah,
This is a child professor. She does not know the ins and outs of real estate.
yeah, yeah. But he probably at least is able to get across like either I will help or find you somebody who knows how to help uh, in order
Definitely.
to do this thing.
Yeah. And well, I guess if we're really desperate, we could probably ask my aunt. I mean, she said she'd be willing to make arrangements and stuff, just as long as it's not me going back there. So
Hmm.
I think um, I think Angelique's kind of like making the disgusted banana cat face at this, like just any mention of her aunt.
Hmm. Perhaps if we are able to find somebody without her, then maybe. But as a last resort, certainly we can ask for a recommendation.
Yeah, that sounds good. Well, I guess once we get all that sorted out, yeah, well, I guess I'll get to pick my own house now. That's kind of exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think
I
you'll
wonder.
like it here.
Yeah, I mean, everyone around here has been a lot nicer, and yeah, and that little day trip I took with Leo and Camille, we
Hmm.
got to see some more of Michael from the train, and it looked really pretty. So
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm gonna like living here.
Yes, I think it'll be good for you.
And she kind of goes quiet for a moment, kind of thinking about something, and she says, "I don't know if I could manage this, but it'd be really cool if I could get a big house, kind of like the one I used to live in, but if I could have rooms for all the new friends I make over here, something like that
Mm.
would be kind of nice."
That does sound nice.
And then people could come visit and stay the night if they wanted to. Oh, and we could find a little spot in the yard for Miss Ellipsis us to stay in. And we could put a little canopy over her so she doesn't get wet in the rain.
Oh, he has a very genuinely touched smile at that, uh, and
Aw,
he gives her a little squeeze.
aw. Yeah, she squeezes back.
That would be lovely, dear.
And I feel like this might be a good place to end things off. 'Cause we could
Mm-hmm.
probably pan out. I think the two of them might be discussing like different places to like live near Villestown, that sort of thing. Discussing
Yeah.
their plans for the future, which are quite a bit more hopeful now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Woo.
Ooh.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah. I hold these two so very soft.
Yeah. Oh, all right. Well, thank you for playing with me.
Yeah. Thank you for playing with me.
Yee. We will wish our audience a good time zone and bid you all farewell. Bye.
Bye, everyone. Bye.